Hello guys, welcome back to another video of Business Analytics Complete course. In previous lesson, we had an exercise in Excel software and good news. And today we will complete a statistics topic. And from next lesson, we will continue our course with a new topic. Yes, that I will tell you about it at the end of this video. Okay. Let's get started. Normal, skewed, and uniform. So, what is the distribution like? Let's have a look at this distribution. Way to interpret this data is, for example, between 40 to 50 to the midpoint is 5, right? Right? It's easy. I'm in this column, so we can talk more about this chart, but I don't like wasting your time. This is easy, and I'm sure you all know how to read this chart. And if you see the blue chart, the distribution is more jumbled up. There is no high, no low. If you take attention here, we have 3 models. These charts have a low and high. This chart doesn't have low and high. And in this one, which is like a bell, we have a 1 high and 2 low. Yeah. The reason that it's called a bell curve is because if you simply draw a line on this one, it looks like a bull in temple. So that is the reason it's called the bell and this bell curve. If the observations follow this bell curve distribution, then we have a normal distribution. And in many things, in many real life situations, many things are following this normal distribution. For example, the height of the people. The bulk of the population's weight, their weight in this range, I mean the bell curve. In real life, there are many examples where the distribution follows a bell curve. Okay, so now that you understood what is a normal distribution, let's look into some of the properties of normal distribution. For the first property, the mean, median, and mode. In a normal distribution, compute the mean, median, and they are almost the same. Therefore, the second property is symmetry about the center. What symmetry means is that on your left hand side, on the right hand side, there is an equal number of populations. For example, let's say the mean height of the entire population in the world is 5.2 feet. Okay, so 50% of the population will be higher than 5.2 and 50% will be lower than 5.2. So there is a symmetry, right? Okay, so those are the key properties of normal distribution. And how do we assess if a distribution is normal? So simply calculate the mean, median, and mode. If all the 3 are closer to each other, then we can say that is normal distributed. And other ways that you can plot those distributions and see whether you see any bell curve. So just draw it. And there is one more point here called skewness. Skewness. A normal distribution has zero skewness. It means 100% symmetry, 50% on the left and 50% on the right. It's also called skewness. If you remember, in previous lesson we talked about SD or standard deviation, right? And as example, we found it and calculate for these ducks in our example. Um, if you don't remember, you can have a look at previous lesson. Yeah. And now, if we want to calculate the standard deviation in this chart, a bell curve or normal distribution, what we have is 68% of the population falls between plus or minus 1 standard deviation. So what does mean is that, as example, if the mean height of the entire population is 5.2 feet, let's say the standard deviation is zero point 0.3. What that means is that 5.2 plus zero point 0.3, 5.5, and 5.2 minus 0.3 is 4.9. So within 4.9 feet to 5.5 feet, there are almost 68% of the entire population. Okay? If you got two standard deviation from the mean, so two standard deviation from the mean to the right and two standard deviation to the left, 95% of the entire population will fall within this range, which would be 4.6. So 4.6 and 5.8. Yeah. As a second standard deviation, we have this data, right? And if we say 3 standard deviation, then the third one is, let's say if you move to the standard, 3 standard deviation to the right and 3 standard deviation to the left. So it covers almost 99.7% of the population. This is one of the features of a normal distribution. So if you say a distribution follows a normal curve, you can clearly say that between one standard deviation less and one standard deviation minus, I can say that 68% of the population lives within. Yeah. Do you understand? It's so easy and practical. Yeah. And now I'm sure you will have heard the word called Six Sigma. Here we had 3 standard deviation, and you see in this model 99.7% of observation are between third standard deviation. So here we have a 6 part between these standard deviation. Yeah. So what does the Six Sigma means? 3 segments to the right and same 3 segments to the left. So it is 6 sigma. 6 sigma are used in manufacturing process. So let's say it's often called that Toyota follows the 6 sigma process. It means if they produce 100 items, 100 cars, 99.7% of the cars are without problem and 0.3% may be defective. Maybe defective. Okay, so 99.7% of all products manufactured are perfect. So that's about the normal distribution, and normal distribution is a zero skewed distribution. But if you see here, we have a different chart. If you draw a line from the big bulk of the values, positive or right skew, if you see the bulk of the data or value are before the mean and a small sort are after the mean. So this is positive or right skew. But for all practical purposes in statistics, we assume that most of the observations, most of the data follows a normal distribution because in reality, there are a lot of things in life which are normal and less things of abnormal. Okay, a natural normal distribution is the foundation of a lot of statistical techniques which we will be discussing in the future. There is one more distribution which is called there is one more distribution which is called the uniform distribution. So uniform distribution is across all the value, a same number of observations. We have some similar set of observations of population sitting here. Yeah. So uniform distribution generally represents a similar number of observations across each value or set of value, as you can see. So with this, we have completed the introduction to statistics part. In the next video, we will start a new title, Organizing and Graphing Data. So, I will come back to you very soon.